So many of us grew up with parents or caregivers, attachment figures who really, for some reason or another, were not able to say the words, I love you. Okay. And this is really important for us to acknowledge and address as we're healing from relational trauma. And as a therapist, this is something that I'm really careful and really intentional about asking about, during those first couple of sessions when I'm getting to know somebody that I'm working with, a new patient, a new client. Why is this important? I think for many of us it's obvious, but when we have an attachment figure or a parent who doesn't say I love you or refuses to say I love you, it leaves the child questioning if the parent actually loves them. Okay. Remember, the child's brain is not fully formed. We're really looking at until the age of, depending on the gender, early 20s, mid 20s. And so for many children, and now adults growing up with a parent who did not say, I love you, they had difficulty doing this. This is a really severe, what we call attachment rupture, and it really needs to be addressed in therapy. It needs to be talked about. And it's so common for individuals who grew up with a parent who couldn't say these words to feel just really intense shame and almost an embarrassment around this. Really don't even talk about the fact that their parent didn't say I love you. And it's also very common to kind of justify or normalize. Well, yeah, like my dad didn't say he loved me, but that was what was probably going on in his family. That probably wasn't done to him, just really trying. And he did all these other things for me that showed me that he loved me. So I think it's also very common to kind of normalize and justify when we have a parent or caregiver that doesn't say, I love you. So it's the therapist's job to really draw attention to this in that therapy room, okay, in a very safe space, just being very curious about this. And a couple things that I really encourage people to do is to just hold space for this. Allow yourself to feel sadness about this. Allow yourself to be confused as to why the parent was unable to say I love you. And I, as I do in many other areas, I encourage people, if they don't feel safe going to their now probably older parent and asking them why it was so difficult for them to say I love you, go to a family member that you feel safe with. Ask about, hey, in the house that you grew up in, Uncle Tom, was this something that was said? Did parents say I love you? Was this kind of a gender specific thing? Did fathers not say this to sons, but did they say I love you to their daughters? Or was this something that was kind of universal? Just get very curious about it. There is so much value if you've done a certain degree of healing and you feel safe going to that parent that wasn't able to say I love you. Just be curious with them about it. Hey, mom, dad, I've just been really thinking about this, and I realized it was really hard for you to say I love you, and I'm just curious about if why this may have been. Can you tell me a little bit about this? Was I love you said in your household? Was there a specific reason why you were not saying this? Were you worried that saying I love you would make me quote unquote soft, or that it wasn't appropriate for a man to say I love you to their son, or for a mother to say I love you to their daughter? So, just really getting curious about this, if it feels safe to you to do that, to have these conversations. In the therapy room, there's repair that needs to be done, and that can be done in the therapy room. There's so many different ways that we can repair this rupture in the therapy room, even if your parent has passed away, or even if you have an estranged relationship with that parent and you don't have access to them. We can actually recreate moments in the therapy room where you really needed to hear that I love you from that parent. And we can actually create a new opportunity. We can actually create a new connection. We can repair that rupture in session a variety of different ways. There's so many different ways we can do it, and it's really, really effective. It's also going to be important for you to spend time with that, that we talk about reparenting, that younger version of you inside, and finding time, to really just imagine that younger version of you, and maybe some of those moments where you really needed to hear those words, and you are actually there with that child. You're imagining the adult you is there with that child, and you are telling that child, hey buddy, I love you. I love you so much. I love you so much. I'm really sorry that you didn't get to hear this more earlier, but I'm here to tell you that now, okay? So just really want to zone in on how important these words are, especially if we're a parent today. What I find is that if we grew up in a house where I love you wasn't said a lot or at all, that parents are really, really conscious about saying it to their kiddos, which is such a beautiful thing. That's one way that we kind of reparent ourselves as well, as doing this differently with our kids. Probably maybe overdoing it a little bit with, hey, buddy, I love you. Have a good day at school. I love you. Buddy, you had such a good game. I love you. I love you no matter what. I love you no matter what. That's such an important statement. My love is always here for you. Okay. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for being willing to come on here and to expand and grow.